Victorian money was not only different in value, it was different in structure entirely.
Welcome to Literally Victorian with your host, Matthew Lee Hanson.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Matthew and I'm glad to be with you once again. Now, in Victorian Britain, we used a currency system very different from the decimal system we know today. There were 12 pence in a shilling and 20 shillings in a pound, which meant 240 pence made £1. Now, to modern ears, it sounds unnecessarily complicated, but for Victorians, it was simply normal life. Children learned the system early, workers handled it daily, and shopkeepers performed calculations mentally that would likely confuse many people today. Victorian coins varied heavily in size and value. The farthing was worth a quarter of a penny. Small, modest, but still usable for everyday purchases. The penny became one of the most recognisable coins of the age, larger than today's penny and physically substantial. There were also halfpennies, sixpences, shillings, florins, and sovereigns. Gold sovereigns especially carried an impression of real value. Money felt physical in the Victorian world. Coins had weight, texture, presence, and wages were often handed directly to workers in coins. Perhaps the most interesting question is this: what could Victorian money actually buy? A penny in the 19th century held far greater value than it does today. A loaf of bread might cost only a few pence. A simple meal could be purchased cheaply enough for working people to survive day by day. Street food was also affordable. Baked potatoes, pies, shellfish, and tea could often be bought for small amounts, and yet wages remained limited. An ordinary labourer might earn little more than enough to support basic living. Money therefore disappeared quickly, particularly for larger families. Victorian wealth varied enormously. For wealthier families, money provided comfort, travel, and leisure, large homes, servants, elaborate dinners. But for ordinary workers, money was often carefully managed. Everyday spending mattered: rent, food, coal, clothing. Even small unexpected costs could disrupt a household significantly. This created a culture where saving small amounts became important. Pennies mattered. Victorian money shaped movement and routine. Train fares, for example, allowed many ordinary people to travel further than previous generations. But even then, class divisions remained visible. Third-class carriages offered cheaper travel, often with less comfort. Meanwhile, wealthier passengers travelled differently entirely. Money therefore influenced not only survival, but experience. Now, one of the greatest differences between Victorian money and modern money was its physical presence. Of course, there were no bank cards, no online banking, no digital payments. People handled money constantly. Coins changed hands directly. Wages were counted physically. Savings were often stored at home. The reality of spending was therefore more immediate. Money could be seen disappearing. And for many families, there was little room for error. Trying to convert Victorian money into modern equivalents is difficult. A single Victorian pound could represent a surprisingly large amount today. But direct comparison is not always simple. The cost of food, housing, and labour functioned very differently. What matters more is understanding how people experienced money, and for ordinary Victorians, money was closely connected to security, to routine, and sometimes simply to getting through the week. Victorian money may appear strange to us now, a system of coins and values that feels overly complex by modern standards. But behind that system was everyday life. People counting wages, buying bread, saving pennies, and trying to build stability within a rapidly changing world. Because in Victorian England, money was never only about numbers. It was about survival, routine, and opportunity. And even the smallest coin could still matter greatly. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you managed to follow it all. Until next time, bye for now.